Episode 145 of these comics going to make good film and television shows. We got Superman with a tie-in with absolute power. We have Destro, and we have Dick Tracy. Let's check them out right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I'm your host, Frank Zanca. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a game developer and filmmaker. Finally getting back to work. I'm going to be on a reality show, and then I'm going to be on a film right after that. So, yeah, finally getting the wheels turning. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. All right, so let's jump into Superman. But before we do, make sure that you give me a thumbs up. Also, if you can, subscribe. That would be awesome, trying to grow the channel out. And remember, too, that Mark Spears, who does a lot of cover art for Marvel and DC, he just did a Jon Stewart cover for the Green Lantern War Journal, I think it is. Amazing stuff. He did a whole lot of classic Monsters art, and he and I teamed up to make this amazing card game, and it is fun, and you get to play as the monsters. It's monster versus monster action, and we're going to be launching this on Kickstarter for Halloween, so October. Check out the link below, and you'll be able to sign up, and it'll alert you once we actually launch in October. So it's easy to learn as well. Let's jump into Superman. This is a tie-in with Absolute Power, of which I'm not collecting. It's by Joshua Williamson, who is very hit and miss for me, although he's been doing a really good job on Superman. So, yeah, we start out, again, I'm not collecting anything to do with Absolute Power, so I don't really have to go back into anything, but Absolute Power is purely about the fact that Waller and a robotic version of Batman and the Queen of the Brainiacs all teamed up to take the powers of all of the superheroes. Even though they're robots, they're able to take DNA, super DNA out of Kryptonians. They're able to take magic out of magic users. They're able to take the Speed Force out of the Flashes. They're able to take all the magic that is given to the Shazams by the Wizards. These guys are amazing, and that's why I'm not collecting it. Hear what I just said? It's stupid. It makes absolutely zero sense. So I'm not even collecting that, but that's the storyline of Absolute Power, and they can have it. However, I am collecting Superman, so I kind of want to see what's going on with the regular storyline with Lex Luthor having lost his memories and things to that effect. But here we have a flashback of, because Superman is vulnerable to magic, and that's important later on. But here he is as Superboy in Smallville, I guess fighting Kid Warlock. And he says, I know your weakness, it's magic, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, then we switch. The artwork is actually pretty good. We have Zatanna and Superman walking around. He has no powers because remember that the Amazo robots can steal DNA. I don't know how he's walking around without his DNA, but hey, let's keep going. It's so stupid. But anyway, they are trying to find a book so that they can go to the Oblivion Bar and ask for help for the magic users that have not lost their powers. Because remember, too, Zatanna lost her powers, too, because, again, Amazo robots have the ability of taking magic. It's so stupid. But anyway, he had to fight his son, John Kent, and he's kind of upset. He's like, I will punch this wall, even if I have no powers, and, oh, no, I need stitches. Can you take me to the hospital? So anyway, we switch back to Waller, who has taken over Supercorp, because LexCorp was given to Superman, so it's now Supercorp. And she's lecturing Peacemaker and Lady Peacemaker, going, how did you lose these people? And they're like, well, an armored person showed up and beat our ass, and I don't know what's going on. And she's like, I don't know who would try to stand against us. You find this armored person, and you beat them up. Peacemaker. But anyway, we already knew who the person in the armor was because in the last issue we had Lois in the super suit. So meanwhile, we have Lex, who's lost his memory, talking to his daughter Lena, who's a blonde up front, and of course that's Lois in the back in the armor. And then we have Jimmy Olsen and Livewire, I believe that is, they're dating. But anyway, he says, I don't know who this Lex guy is, but he sounds like he was a great guy. And they all, of course, look at him like he's absolutely crazy. And Lex Luthor's not a good guy. But anyway, so we have Mercy just shows up out of the blue, and he said, hey, if I can track you in that suit, then Waller can track you in that suit, so you need to get rid of that suit like ASAP. And then she goes and hugs Lex and goes, I missed you so much. I'm so glad you are alive. And he's like, I have no idea who you are. Get off me, lady. So then we get into he's having visions or whatever, and I forgot the name of that character up there, the magic user guy. But anyway, he says, I'm having visions, and meanwhile we're getting, and her fishnets are all cut up and stuff to that effect. So they get to where they need to go, except that Waller's people are burning down the entire forest, and the book they need is in there. And Superman just rushes in and starts kicking their ass, going, no, there's people around here. You're starting a big forest fire. And Smokey's not around to put it out and say, good things. But anyway, so they continue to run. He's like, there's too many, Superman. You don't have your powers. Let's get to the book now, and, we'll figure out the rest later. So literally the book was burning as he takes it out of the tree, and it was the Queen of Fables. And she starts reading it, and that's kind of cool, where all of the letters then become the portal, and she opens the door to the Oblivion Bar, and she steps into the Oblivion Bar, and it's, again, the artwork is pretty decent. And, Superman's like, I don't think I'm wanted here. And we have the bartender going, oh, hi, Zatanna, I love you, you're just the bestest. I became a magician because of you. Meanwhile, Superman's like, you will all join. We cannot stand by and have everybody get hurt. You are cowards, and now you will lead. I will lead you all. Basically, he is calling them cowards and telling them that they have to stand up. He's basically giving a speech. And then we the flashback from the beginning then, comes full circle, and that's Kid Warlock, and he's like, I guess it's not Kid anymore. He's like, no, it's branding, man. I kept the kid, and so he's like, you're not going to fight me without your powers, and I think you're being a jerk, and I want to kick your butt like I did when you were a kid. And so he sends a blast at him, and he's like, nope, not going to work. I am going to kick your butt with no powers whatsoever, and he chucks him at the bar. Hitting the bartender, etc. And he's like, who's next? I don't care if I have powers or not. I will kick you in the booty. And they're like, okay. And then they were looking for a scroll or something like that. And he says, I have the scroll. And we don't know who it is yet, but he puts it on the table. And it ends up being Necron, which is kind of cool. And that's it. Again, not reading it, so this is going to continue in a book I'm not reading. But anyway, I like it. Will the whole absolute power thing become a movie? No. This is definitely not the Infinity Stone story. That is absolutely true. We will never see this on the screen ever. So I'm looking forward to this whole thing ending and then us jumping back into the regularly scheduled programs of our regular books without this event stuff happening. I don't know what the next event is. I just hope they stop. All right, so let's jump into Destro. So this is number 3. I think it's a 6 issue. So it's a short. It's by Dan Waters. They also have a Scarlet series, and I am not doing that. Kelly Thompson has ruined that, and you can tell that I'm a fan of Scarlet. Look what I just got behind me. I just got that in the mail. So that the figure has some problems, but let's pick it up so you can see it. So if you are G.I. Joe fans, I do not recommend it. It has some problems, but I was able to make it work for the most part. But yeah, so I'm not. That's the only book I'm not collecting is Scarlet. So the Hawk one and the GI and the Cobra Commander one was good, and this one's okay. So this one here is about the twins having a battle with Destro because there's some kind of misunderstanding. Somebody setting them up and had them feel like they attacked one another. Meanwhile, Destro is creating his bats. He's got the energon that he's got coming from Cobra Commander, and this is a battle he really doesn't want. And he went back to where his family has their base of operations that they've had for generations. And he said, nobody will find me here. Meanwhile, there's an assassin right outside. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to kill you now. And he tries. I thought finally we get to see him fire the rockets off his. I've never seen the rockets fire off his wristband. But it crackles, and he gets shot. But, I mean, the size of that gun, I don't care what kind of bulletproof armor you have, that thing's going through it. That thing that'll go through a tank. So he gets hit back with it, but just stands up, and then they struggle. Again, he would be missing a good chunk of skin there. And he's like, why isn't my stuff working? What's going on? You find out there's a girl because the hair comes out the back. And they continue to fight, etc. And she's like, just die, just die. And then she's like, well, the drones come. And it's like, my drones are here. You're kind of screwed. And he's like, oh, man, those things again. So meanwhile, back at Mars, and not the planet, but the corporation, one of the guys is going through all of, what was going on with the battle. And they realize that they were set up. He's like, well, why isn't this missile exploded? And he's like, I don't know why it didn't explode, but you're holding a very volatile core of fully functioning missile. They're trying to figure out why the things didn't explode, and they're figuring out that there's some kind of little mishap going on here, that maybe there was somebody else kind of pulling the strings. So meanwhile, Destro is constantly having missiles fired at him and somehow surviving. So like a little avalanche happens, stuff like that. But anyway, he ends up in one of his aerial vehicles fighting these things, but even that's not working. And he's like, it crashes, and somehow he's still alive. I don't know. They're putting him through the ringer, man. So then we flash back to his family about why they wear the metal mask. And I guess they were supplying everyone. And he's like, you can't kill me because I'm supplying you. I'm supplying your enemies. But if I don't supply you, how are you going to fight? So they're like, okay, but yes, I'm going to make you wear this as a badge of honor. And in the regular vein of the tortures back in the day, almost like a Dr. Doom situation, he puts the mask on him and it basically burns his face off. So then we find out that Destro has somehow made it to the UN or the embassy in, is it Norway? I forgot where he was. But anyway, I can't remember what country he was in. But anyway, so we go backwards and he was exploded, and he just happens to find a truck that he can hitch a ride in to go to the embassy. Yeah, I'm not buying that. So he's in the middle of nowhere and he hitches a ride. But anyway, he says, yes, I'm supplying everybody, and I don't think that your government would be too keen on you taking me out of this whole roster. So let's make a deal. General Flag. So he's talking to Flag, and he's like, all right, so I'm listening. So again, we have no idea what's really going on, but the action was pretty good, even though there's no way Destro was living through all that or getting to the embassy or any of that. That's all bull. I think this should have been thought out just a little bit better. But again, the action's fun. But you're not. I love Destro. He's one of my favorites GI Joes. But I don't think that Destro can't have a movie on his own. He's got to be grouped in with a GI Joe. But it would be great to see a GI Joe finally made correctly. All right, let's jump into Dick Tracy. So Dick Tracy was originally done by Warren Beatty back in, I want to say, the early 80s, early 90s. And it was done very cartoony. This is a little bit more grounded and a little bit more gritty, which I like. I think they're doing a good job with this. This is Alex Segura. This guy's name is, the main guy that's going around here, I think his name is Anthony something. But there's also Pruneface and all those guys as well. And I like how they do well, first of all, he's telling his guy that, you're going to have to do better. Do better! But he wants them to go find Lips Manless, who they're having a tiff with. But I really like how they do the flashback. And that's Tess Trueheart. Her father was killed, that actually pulled all this thing through. He was killed in a diner. But she ends up finding out that he was the only one that would not bend the knee to all of the corruption going on. And he was killed for it. And that other guy in the previous page is creating all these homes and the real estate thing. And all of the other guys are involved. And Shoulders and his girlfriend were killed off by Flat Top. Flat Top is just murdering everybody at this time. But I really like how they did the flashback. Look at that. It's really nice stuff. And basically she's typing it all out. I really like it. And then Mumbles was killed as well. And these guys are all hiding out because they're afraid they're going to get picked off. So obviously they're not hiding very well because there ends up being a knock on the door with a person. It flies through. And it's Dick Tracy and Pat. And apparently they found him, so the bad guys can obviously find them too. They're not hiding very well. So he's like, look, where's your boss? I need to find Lips Manless, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, I'm not telling. And he's like, well, you don't have to, because as soon as somebody finds out you were talking to me, the cops, they're gonna kill you anyway. And he's like, well, that sucks. But Dick looks at somebody putting a bomb right outside the window, and he says, Pat, get out now. And they pick up the dynamite, and he's like, throw it onto the beach. There's nobody there. So he does, and I like how there's like a film reel. They did a really good job here of kind of doing something out of the box. But anyway, he throws it, and he was in World War II. He just came back, obviously, within like last year or so, and he's still getting flashbacks. And I think that's Pruneface going, I'm so tired of you guys being such a pain in the butt. So die, copper, die! And Pat pulls him out of the way because he was in that, trance of him reliving the war. And anyway, so that's the end of that. But really good stuff there. A lot of good action there and good heroics. Meanwhile, you have Tess that's looking for information and says, hey, I'm here to do a payoff from Mike or whatever. The guy says, who's it from, Mike? And he says, yeah, Mike. And she hands him a check. And she's like, a check? I can't take a check. You can't buy me off. You give me a payoff with a check. I have to have cash. And he's like, well, this is my first day. She's just acting stupid like ditzy. And she's like, I hope I didn't cause any trouble. She's like, I'm going to go down there and talk to Mike myself, which is she was looking for her to leave. But if that didn't work, she wouldn't have left. So I don't know. So that was kind of a weird risk. But anyway, she finds the evidence that her father was the only one that didn't fall to the corruption. And she takes a couple of papers with her, but leaves a mess behind. She goes out the window, and the other chick comes back and says, oh, man, I'm in trouble. So you have the other guy that's working for Anthony there. They pay him a visit. Yeah, you guys are cops. You can't beat me up. And he's like, well, Pat's not a cop. And Pat proceeds to kick his ass. and hangs him out the window, all this stuff. So anyway, we have a little battle go on there. And I think we're getting up to the ending here. So yeah, so here's Anthony showing up with prune face and flat top. So this whole battle takes place, and he shoots flat top in the leg. And Anthony's going, yeah, well, I don't know why you won't die, but I have stuff going on. And we hear the sirens, and he's like, Tracy, that ain't backup for you. They're for you, but in a different way. And they arrest him. So I don't know what's going on, but there was an inkling that the captain was on the take. And he even alluded to that, and the captain took it badly and yelled at him. But yeah, so that's probably what's going on. Really good stuff. I like all the action. I like all the little intrigue that's going on. And, you know, again, if the Tessa's thing didn't pay off, she wouldn't have gotten that information. But, you know, we'll let that slide. I like how she was playing ditzy. I thought that was kind of cool. So let's do a recap. Yeah, I think that it's time for a new Dick Tracy movie. That would be great, and having it a little more, down to earth and gritty and all the stuff that they're trying to do. Destro, a G.I. Joe movie featuring Destro as one of the villains would be great. Instead of them trying to continually change the characters like they did with Snake Eyes. Although we did get to see Scarlet in there, but not in the regular costume. So little stuff like that I think they really need to address and just go back to the source material. And Superman, no, this is not going to be a good Superman movie. The absolute power thing is just not going to work. All right, well, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And remember to give me that like, give me that thumbs up if you can. And if you can also support the channel by subscribing, that would be awesome as well. Ring that bell, ding, ding. And also remember that we'll have a link below to Mythlords. Classic Monsters card game is a deck building card game where you play as one of the classic monsters. You're also having the other monsters as well that you're recruiting. And you're, adding spells and vehicles and animals, and you're fighting over locations. Good stuff. It only takes about 10 minutes to learn, so it's pretty awesome. All right, check that in the description below. You'll find the link to Kickstarter. All right, I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out some of my other videos on your way out, and I will see you on the next episode. Thanks for watching, guys.